Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julius, once again with another episode of the Saltmarsh vlog. I'm going to be wearing these little paper sunglass looking things because I had an eye doctor exam before I shot this video, and the lights in my room are too bright, but the lights are needed to make it able to see me. So, let me tell you, a lot happened in the last session, despite nothing happening in the last session. So I actually, for once in my life, had to take down almost like an inventory list of the things that happened, because that is just, simply put, stuff happened. So with the horrible ordeal of Granny Nightshade behind them and still a looming threat, but now they are back as a party together, they are able to teleport back to Saltmarsh. And with that, they decide to go their separate ways to solve minor little things that they need to do before the inevitable attack on Saltmarsh, of which Evander is still the only party member privy to, because for some reason he just doesn't feel like telling the rest of them. But anyways, so we'll start with Evander, of course. So Evander, he went to Lady Zendros, and he got himself a amulet of protection from being scryed upon, because while he's in Saltmarsh, he wants his enemy, Calcifer, to not know that he is in Saltmarsh, because obviously that kind of foils the plan of exiting Saltmarsh to convince his enemies that he's gone. However, while he has the amulet, he learns from Eleander that Galen Primewater has been put under house arrest, because the sending stone he gave him was enough evidence as it matched the other sending stone that Primewater had, and upon using the sending stone, they received messages from the exact same voices. So, with his connection solidified to Calcifer, Evander is now going to go and question him. And I will get to what the questioning's about at the end of today's session. Moving on from that, we will go to Theron, the wizard cleric of the party, who decided to spend his hard-earned gold and maybe a little bit of his spare time helping to cure Ivani of her most recent curse from Granny Nightshade. See, Feeble Mind allows you to re-roll the saving throw once every 30 days. And while the Headband of Intellect protects her from the intelligence debuff, she still has a 1 in her charisma, which will leave you very vulnerable to things that could potentially possess you in the future. Not a good thing to have up against you. So, by going from priest to wizard back to priest, he does get his access to a scroll of greater restoration, which, if they had asked Cyprus, the druid in the party, he is capable of casting this spell, but they didn't, so it led to their own, because everybody went their own separate ways. So he went through, bought the necessary diamond dust, had some dwarves smash the diamonds down into dust, and then they used it with a scroll in order to get all the curse off of Ivani. Meanwhile, Cyprus was on his own adventure, getting his curse removed off of his crown. So these guys are starting to power themselves up, and now Cyprus can heal better than ever. He can heal an additional D of whatever it is he's rolling to his healing spells. This is the equivalent of basically upcasting at no additional spell slot cost. It is one of the most powerful magic items I've made. But, the curse kept him from using it for a good, I want to say 6 or 7 sessions. So I think that's a perfectly fair trade-off. Zorb brought his family back together, so now we have a total of his uncle, his father, and his sister all together in Saltmarsh on the ship. And kind of just showing them around the town. He does plan to meet the Kuo-toa once more, bring his family to meet them. But the more important thing he did while in Saltmarsh was he bought a sail. Not for the ship, but for the hill giant that sleeps upon the ship. Boodle now has a nice blanket that will protect him from the sun and keep him warm at night, and his brother Kissinger will figure out a way to turn it into a tent for keeping him out of the sun. But I did tell them, as of right now, he has formed a glorious tan, since the hill giant has been on their boat for a good, I think, 3 weeks now? 2 or 3 weeks, give or take. After curing Avani, Theron decided to go back to the Wizard Tower of Keladek and do something about the still beating Anishag heart that has been in his bag for a while. They tried holy water on it, causing it to erupt in a series of bright lights and screams. And Keladek then asked, "Where did you get this heart?" And he tells him about Granny Nightshade, and he goes, this is one of Granny Nightshade's servants? No, take this heart, leave my house. And he's like, well, the other hag stuff was from her too. So he grabs the other hag stuff, throws it at Theron, and just kicks him out of his house, because Nightshade is that terrifying of an entity. I'm still working on her stat block, mind you, so I don't know exactly how terrifying, but it's gotta be something good if she's strong enough to give out warlock powers. Speaking of powering up for things ahead of them, the party members Beric, Theron, and Zorp have all decided to head on down to the Dwarven mine and ask the dwarves to turn their ship into an ironclad. This was going to require a big persuasion roll to begin with, but they succeed. What they wanted in addition, though, was a discount. The original price I gave them was 40,000 gold. But with a rallying speech about the protection of Saltmarsh, the kingdom of Keoland, as well as the dwarven people themselves, and rolling a 32 on said roll, it was either 32 or 36, I can't remember. But with a high roll like that, he was able to get the price down to 25,000. There is, however, still one more task they must succeed in. They must convince the dry dock of Saltmarsh, the humans that work there, to allow the dwarves to use said dry dock. A bout that has not been a main plot point, but it has been something I have been hinting at, is that the humans and the dwarves do not get along. Now we will see it at a head, and we'll have to see if maybe Zorp can just pull off another 36 for his persuasion check. Finally, at the behest of Beric, Cyprus decided to go and visit the Bullywugs from all the way near the start of the campaign, where they told the players to come back when they could turn into a frog and speak frog to them. We're at a point where Cyprus can turn into flying things, so we are way past whatever quests I was going to give them, but there's always a way to add something back into the story. However, when he landed, he ended up surrounded by kobolds, and as I spoke in my little kobold voice and talking, and I start talking to the kobolds, they get together, they're starting to talk to each other, and they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna catch him, we're gonna turn him into food. And that's when one of my players, Zorp's player, he's a fellow DM, and he goes, yes, what do we do, brother? And I was just like, oh yes, brother, we will. Wait, dude, I'm the DM. And he was just like, oh, but I was just kind of getting into it. And I look over and I see the other two guys. They're kind of in kobold poses, and I look over and Evander's player's in a kobold pose, and I was just like, okay, fine, but I'm the lead kobold, okay? And we all get together, and so you got Cyprus the elf and 5 kobolds all talking to him about their glorious leader, the Black Dragon, and how he will be a delicious treat. And he was like, oh, no, I'm a high-leveled spellcaster, watch. And he casts Call Lightning once, and they were like, ooh, he did cast lightning. Oh, then he's not food. He's going to be a good servant. He'll be a good servant. And he's like, I can kill you guys. And he zaps the lightning down again, and the kobolds look at each other, and one goes, he's bluffing. He missed. He clearly missed. So he's bluffing. He can't kill us. We will lead him. And he's like, that's fine. I want to meet your dragon boss. Now, mind you, Cyprus's player is new to D&D, so there are things he doesn't know. Well, unfortunately, a thing he had to learn the hard way was, as a black dragon emerged from the swamp and told him to, leave your gold and I will let you live, Cyprus asked, well, no, I want to give you gold so that you give me magic items. And the Black Dragon's like, do you think this is a shop? Do you think we're friends? And he's like, well, the bronze dragon I met was kind of friendly. And he's like, okay, all right, kid, let me tell you something, sir. I am a chromatic dragon, We are very different creatures. This conversation is not going to go where you think it's going. So unfortunately, in exchange for his life, he lost 200 gold. But this is definitely something the party could handle later. If Cyprus wasn't alone, if like the party had been together, this dragon would have been like right on the defensive, because this is a young black dragon. He is only a challenge rating 9 monster. They are a level 9 party. He is literally not a threat to them. An inconvenience at most. Now, if he decides to attack Saltmarsh while a certain band of pirates are attacking Saltmarsh, he might be a bigger threat just based on action economy alone. But alone, he's not really that scary. And it's just fun to introduce something new like that. So with the rest of the party having situated their tasks, we cut back to Evander, who is just about to go into a room with Gellin Primewater. Eleander, as a member of the council and having a very high authority thanks to the Crown of Keoland, has given him permission to get any information he needs to stop Calcifer. Even if that information would involve making Primewater think he is going to die. You are not allowed to kill him, but you are allowed to make him think he's going to die. So we'll see where that goes. I did end up speaking to Evander's player afterwards, and just to get a better idea of what he's trying to get out of this interrogation. He wants to learn what Calcifer's weakness is. More importantly, he wants to learn what Calcifer's greatest desire is. And sadly, power is a very vague desire, but that's what Calcifer wants. Calcifer wants the power to rule the ocean with an iron fist. And he will seek out any form of magical assistance that can get him that. Including Granny Nightshade, demons, devils, gods, what have you. To avoid enemies abound, he has dabbled in divination magic. And soothsayers have told him something he wants to avoid. So, from his conversation with Primewater, Evander will learn that Calcifer's greatest desire is to avoid his fate. Because as the soothsayers told him, his demise will come at the hands of an orc who can cast magic on the sea. A bit of a backstory for Theron. Theron was a young baby boy, son of a pirate, whose wife was the co-captain, also a pirate, and his mother, Theron's mother, could use magic. However, there was a mutiny in which both his parents died, and little Theron managed to get away, where he was then raised by a lizard man and taught the ways of magic. Calcifer's backstory is very similar. He sought power anywhere he could, used divination to look into the future, and fortune tellers told him that his demise would come from an orc who can use magic on the sea. His captain's wife, his co-captain, could use magic, and was an orc. Calcifer's greatest fear is that Theron will return. So that's fun, and to answer the question, well, why, if Calcifer can use scrying, why hasn't he used it on Theron? 2 reasons. 1, Theron is not Theron's real name. 2, Theron's mother cast a protective charm on him so that he could get away. Theron doesn't know that because I just added that, but yeah. So I'm looking forward to tying all that back together. We got Granny Nightshade for a few members of the party. We got Calcifer for the rest of the party. We seem to be coming towards the ending of this story, which is a bummer because Felix's player is not going to be able to play till December, and I don't know if the campaign's going to be that long, and I really want to see how this wish-granting adventure comes to a close. So I might have to, over Discord or something, have a, mini campaign adventure with anyone who's available to play on Discord or something, just like on maybe like a Tuesday night or something, I don't know. But however it all plays out, we're starting to reach close to the conclusion, and I am very excited for it. So I hope you are as well. If you're my players watching this in the future, I hope you've been enjoying it because, again, I think the final boss fights are going to be at least interesting, if nothing else. Thank you all for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.